I was pushing, I don't know, it was probably about 300 for reps. And he immediately came over and he was like, "You a strongman?" And I was like, "Yeah." And that's where it all kicked off. So.
All right, welcome to the Bacon Bibles and Barbells podcast. I'm Coach Chester, and I'm joined with Coach Amanda and our special guest today, Strongman OSG Southwest, but Southern Regionals, I think, champion of 2025, Ian Bracken. He also owns a gym and coaches. He's been in the game for longer than Amanda and I have been in the game put together. So he agreed to join us today and share some of his knowledge and also just talk about what he's got going on. So at this point, I'm actually going to hand it off to Amanda, let her kind of run things since she and him are local to each other. And I believe, Amanda, you train in Ian's gym, right?
Yeah, quick correction, though. He doesn't own the gym, but we do both train out of Underground Performance in Waco. So we just moved here actually earlier in the year and started going there because it just had all the best equipment. And I think all the other strongmen thought the same because it seems there's a big community there of strongmen that we fell into pretty quickly. Ian was one of the first we met. It feels like whatever there is, a strongman type community somewhere, they kind of all end up congregating around the same place because it's hard to find the equipment you need. So that's where we met Ian, got to know him, and
they're all like, "Oh, look, friends."
Yes, it's very much like that. You like what I like.
You also have huge traps.
Exactly.
No strongman ever trains their traps. Like, never seen it happen. Yeah. I've never put it on a strongman program, that's for sure, but every strongman has big traps.
Yeah, I think Amanda's husband came up to me. The first day I met them, I was in doing log training out of Iraq, and I was pushing, I don't know, it was probably about 300 for reps. And he immediately came over and he was like, "You a strongman?" And I was like, "Yeah." And that's where it all kicked off. So,
yeah, awesome. Yeah, there are not many gyms that have strongman equipment. You usually have to be in a big population. Like where I live, there's one gym that has some stuff, but actually, I just had to go train out of my home gym in my barn. But I probably have more strongman equipment than anyone in my county because there's nothing in most places for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common, having a lot of equipment at your home if you're a strongman, because that might be the only place you can. Ian, you have some stuff out at your house too, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a set of Atlas stones. I built some fingers out of old recycled telephone poles that were left on the side of the road when they redid the road out here. I have a half-built Viking press that I haven't quite finished yet. I just got random stuff. I got big tires in the backyard, and the typical things strongmen have laying around.
There hasn't been like a lot of tire flips in strongman in a while. It feels like that kind of fell out, which I thought it was actually really cool. I think that's a good strongman event when it's heavy enough, not when they did it. Some shows it was like they're really light and it was like cardio, but
yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth on the tire thing. I do think it's a big risk if the tire isn't the right tire. It's when they get the thin tires that you can't get your chest and shoulders on to lift up to get that leverage, that then you bicep curl them, and when you're bicep curling 900 pounds, you're going to pop something. So I'm not offended that they're not in the game anymore. So
well, I was okay at them too. Maybe that's part of why.
I can see them being used for a tiebreaker where it's already set up, but you're pushing it back and forth, something like that. But that might not be good for higher up in the league. It's probably better for a lower level competition.
The last one I had to do was for Jade Dickens competition a couple years ago in McGregor, and she had I believe we had a 680 pound tire for the open super heavies, and it was raining cats and dogs, and we were outside, so having to lift that in the rain, no footing, like we were under a tent, we like moved everything under this little canopy, but it was miserable. You just couldn't get a hold of it, you couldn't get your feet set, you're sliding all over the place. And after that, I was like, I would be okay with never flipping a tire again. So
yeah,
it's not always like that, though.
That's true.
It's like the last time I was at a competition that had stones. which was also the last strongman show I was in. It's been a minute, and they had the Atlas stones were like, from the gym that hosted it basically, and they hadn't cleaned those things in years, so they were just like full of just gummed up snot. Yeah. And it was in July in the heat, and so they were sitting out in the sun, and it was in a parking lot. So then they rolled those things all over the parking lot to get them set up, and they had grit and snot. You couldn't hold on to those things. Like, yep. I was ready because they wanted, it was last man standing. And I was like, sweet, we're all going to hit PRs today. And it was basically just like pick it up as fast as you can because it's slipping.
For sure.
Yeah, let me get into this real quick. Before we start talking about the big event you're about to do, OSG Worlds, what first drew you into strength sports?
I was thinking about this question when you sent it to me, and I'm not sure exactly when the point was that really drew me in, other than just growing up watching. I was into looking at Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler and their battle in the bodybuilding world, and I was always the biggest of the 4 kids in my family. I have 2 brothers and a sister, and I started lifting when I was 12 in our little basement in Missouri, and we had one little bench with the old school tiny barbell. I don't even know what you call those anymore, but the sand-filled plates, from back in the 80s.
Yeah. Sand or concrete, yeah.
Right, yeah. And so my stepfather and I, we went down there one day and just started lifting, and I had a guy we called my Uncle Joe. He was actually just a friend of my stepfather, but he was in the military, and he would come back and stay with us sometimes when he was off of deployment. And he would tell me all the time that he thought I should be a Navy SEAL just because of the way I behaved and my, go get it attitude. And so it was kind of him and my stepdad that told me I could be something physically impressive. But then I moved to Texas when I was 15, started playing football. That really started the real training where you actually start to gain some size and strength. And looking back on it, I think all the time, like, I thought I was strong, farm strong coming in because I grew up on a farm throwing hay bales, all that stuff. But then I got into a Texas high school football, weight room, and I can barely bench press 95 pounds, and I felt just tiny, and, there were guys in there that were squatting close to 8, and benching 400 pounds as seniors, and I was just a sophomore, but, I don't like to lose is the thing. And so failing in front of other people really drives me to do better. And so when I'm struggling and shaking with less than 100 pounds on the bar and the whole team's looking at me, I made a decision that day, I think, that will never be me again. And I will be the one, not in a bad way, but I want to be the one who's intimidating to lift in front of. Like, I want you to look at me and go, I wonder what he lifts, And so it's kind of been a lifelong journey to just make sure I'm good enough. Is really the root of it is childhood trauma, and am I good enough? And that's what drives me, is like, I have to prove to myself every day, do I have a purpose? Am I good enough to be in your presence and be with the people I'm with? And that's really where it comes from when it gets down to it. So.
Did you end up being the senior that the sophomores were looking at after that?
It's funny, because I never even played football because my school in Missouri didn't have football because we were a tiny school. So I didn't play till I was a sophomore, no experience in football whatsoever. So I ended up playing JV my sophomore and junior year, and then got pulled up for playoffs my junior year because one of our defensive tackles got hurt, one of our backups. And so I didn't actually get to play big-time football, Texas football, till senior year. But then I did end up being all-district defensive tackle. I had like 70-something tackles for the year. Like, I was pretty good as a senior. And I was not the strongest, but I was pretty strong at that point. I was benching 300 pounds coming out of high school. And I probably had somewhere in the 600-pound range squat. So that's pretty decent for a high school kid.
What was your body weight up to at that point?
I was only 235 in high school, so I wasn't all that big.
But 600 pound squat is at 235 is.
I would assume it was about that. I don't think we ever maxed it, but my freshman year of college, I hit a 750 with wraps. So I figure I was probably in the 6 range.
You had to be good for 600. I think that's safe.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy.
Yeah, so you're not the guy that walks up to the other kids and is like, "Hey, back when I was your age in high school, I once put 4 plates on the leg press." So
No. I like those shirts that say I used to bench 405 or whatever, but it's been a mission. What really got me started again in this was me and 2 of the other guys on the football team, one of their fathers did a 405 bench press on his 40th birthday while we were in college. And so we made a pact that we were going to do that when we were 40. I think I'm the only one that did it out of the 3 of us, but
really,
but I did it easily. I did a triple on my 40th birthday just to show that I could.
Nice.
And so I don't want to be the guy that goes in and says, "When I was in high school, I did this." I want to be the guy that says, "No, I'm stronger now than I was back then." That's
that's a big thing, man. Like peaking in high school sucks. Like, right? What have you done?
Mm-hmm.
There's a long downhill after high school. Like,
I know. It's like, that's not much of your life. Like, come on. Like, I benched 405 last year for the first time. And, like, when I was in high school, I benched, but I probably would have benched like 120 or something. I don't know. I was 130 pounds. Like,
sure.
Yeah. Like the whole, like, looking back on high school days for life I think that's like, life should get better as you age. If you do it right. Obviously things happen that stink, but as much as it depends on you, we should be enjoying life more because we're smarter and we've got more going on and more responsibilities, and life is more fulfilling, and you get experiences that you can pursue that you couldn't in high school. Like, yeah, don't peak in high school. That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bully your body or you can let your body bully you, right? Like
Yeah,
I choose to bully my body to do what I want it to do. So
we talk about the jacked grandpa concept on the podcast a lot. That like, you should be a jacked grandpa. Like, you should be like like if your kids are arguing, my dad could beat up your dad. We're like, yeah, my grandfather could beat up your dad too.
That's the goal. Yeah,
it's a good response.
You see my dad? Have you seen my grandfather?
So that's where you started getting into strength sports in general. But when did strongman then come into the picture?
So after college, I had the dreams, the arrogance of like, I'm going to go to the NFL, all that stuff. But after my freshman year, I was doing pretty well. I was second team at that point going into sophomore year. I was really going to get a chance to show what I could do. And, I was actually a walk-on at Baylor University. I wasn't a scholarship athlete. So I've always been the bottom of the pile guy who just works harder than everybody else to prove who I can be. And so I walked on, and then I got hurt. I was actually playing in a church league basketball tournament with a couple buddies just for fun after spring football. And I tore my ACL playing in that tournament. So at that moment, when the doctor told me, "Hey, your ACL is torn," I remember I broke down crying in the doctor's office. Like this was, as somebody who's a walk-on, I was like, this was my one shot. Like, I can't come back from this kind of injury without them replacing me with somebody better, bigger, on scholarship who they have to let play because of, the way politics are. And so I knew at that moment kind of that the dream of NFL probably had gone downhill. And I came back, and I was faster and stronger after the ACL. I did all the rehab, and but I spent so much time in the weight room because at least back in those days, when you were hurt on a D1 football team, you're not allowed to just be gone from practice time. You have to be at the stadium doing something for that 6 hours that everybody else is there. So I would be in the rehab for an hour and a half, but then they'd be like, okay, find something to do for 4 hours. And so I spent that whole time doing upper body in the weight room because that's all I could do. And so my upper body just got so huge so fast that I ended up deteriorating my collarbone because my rotator cuff and everything was too tight, is what the doctor told me. And every time I would rotate, it would pit my collarbone and dig in, and it created pits in the end of my collarbone. And then every time I would try to tackle somebody, it would feel like a knife stabbing into my shoulder. So I've got this nasty scar. I don't know if you can see it, but they had to cut my collarbone out. And because he told me, he was like, well, we can do rehab and we can wait 3 months without you doing any kind of weightlifting, and it'll probably get better, or I can go in and cut it out and you can be back in 2 weeks. And I was like, cut it out, I don't need it. Like, I gotta play. So anyway, two surgeries within 3 months of each other. I came back, and then life kind of hit. I didn't come from a family with money, and so college was rough because I never had money to pay for things. So then halfway through my junior year, I decided that football wasn't going to be the life path I wanted it to, and I ended up quitting the team because I needed to get a job and help support myself. And that's probably my biggest regret is not trying harder and not sticking with that. But anyways, to get back to the strongman, after that, I was looking for something athletic because I'm just so competitive, and I walked into Underground one day. I don't even remember how I found out about Underground, but it was in a tiny little metal building. I don't know if you know, Amanda, over there on Valley Mills, where there's that porta potty up on the telephone pole. I call it the porta potty on a stick. There's like a dummy sitting in it like he's using it. Anyways, it was right under there. And I went in there one day, and they were doing Atlas stones, and they were doing some axle clean and press stuff. And the one that's at the gym now with the deflated tires that's out in the outside portion, that I don't know, it's probably 100 pounds maybe. They were like clean and pressing that. And I walked over and I grabbed it with one hand and threw it over my head. And I was like, oh, I could do this. Like, let's try. And so I started training. And I was a lot more Olympic lifting trained back then because college football is a lot about Olympic lifting, power cleans, clean and jerk. So I had a lot of explosive movement. And so I was trying to teach Joel and some of the people there, like, look, you could move this weight a lot better if you did it with more technique and less brute force. And so then I got involved with them and some of the guys that really started the strongman stuff at Underground. And that was 2010 when that happened. And so I guess that's kind of where I first started getting exposed to the implements myself and actually getting to try them out.
That's really cool. So you've been at the same gym the whole time. You've been doing strongman.
In terms of strongman, so I did it for, I guess, about 6 years. I was at Underground just training. I didn't compete, but I trained with the equipment. I couldn't compete because I just couldn't afford it back then. I just didn't have the money. And then I had a kid in 2017. And at that point, I still wasn't making a ton of money. And so I was like, well, I need to, because of my own history and upbringing, I'm very dedicated to being a father and producing for my child and making sure he has the best life. That's like my number one goal in life, is to be the best father that ever lived. I say it all the time, like that's my goal. And so that made me decide, okay, I'm going to drop the gym so I can save the money, put the money toward my kid, make sure he gets the sports and everything he wants to do. And so that went on for 3 or 4 years, and I put on a god awful amount of weight. I blew up. I was like 383 pounds at my biggest. I was 38% body fat. Like, it was horrible. And and so that I took that little break in between that was not good for me. And unfortunately, when COVID came around, I was one of the people that benefited from the COVID crisis because I ended up getting to work from home, which gave me more time. I didn't have to commute and everything. And we happened to move in 2020 in next to some neighbors who the wife was really into CrossFit, and they had a space so that I combined all my weights with her weights, and we kind of made a community home gym between the two homes. And then I got to work out every single day, and that got me back in the rhythm of let's do this, and then that turned into, I passed that 400-pound bench press mark so quickly, and I realized that, your body does remember what it used to do, right? That muscle memory is a real thing. And then one day I said to my wife, I need a bigger goal because I've already surpassed my original goal. And I was only, 38 at that point, I guess. And so I told her, I said, I'm going to go be the world's strongest man. And, she kind of looked at me like, really? You're kind of old. But she's always supportive. And so she was like, hey, if you want to do it, go for it. And so the funny thing is, my very first TikTok video I ever made, it has a picture of me and Eddie Hall next to each other because he's my size. So he inspired me to say, okay, someone my size can win this. And I put up there, I'm coming for that trophy 2024. And then 2024 was the first year I got to go to OSG World's Strongest Man. And so that I made it happen, right? That makes me feel like, I can achieve a goal that I set. And I didn't win it, unfortunately. I was 15th last year. But hey, 15th in the world in my division still feels pretty good. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's still something for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you talked about the Baylor background a lot, so I may skip over a little bit of that because
Sure.
I want to get into some of the strongman questions we were talking about. So far, what's been your proudest moment in strongman? Is it winning that 15th place? Is it a different competition, or even something in the gym?
I guess I've got a couple moments. My first one was probably my first competition ever. I went into that competition. It was the Big Tex in 2022 in Austin, Texas, and it was a kind of a pro-am show. So they had some pros in there competing for an invite to the pro show that would get a pro card, I guess. And then they had the open super heavyweight, and then they had the novice classes and everything. And my idea was I'll go in and do a novice, to try it out because I haven't actually competed. And my buddy Tommy Sharp, I don't know if y'all know him, but he's a pro strongman he used to compete in the 231s back when Clash on the Coast and everything was happening. So he was number 4 in the world at the first Clash. But anyhow, he told me, no, you're too strong for that. He was like, just go in the open super heavyweight and believe in yourself and you'll do all right. And so I went into that competition. I had never hit a 280 log before and had a 280 log for reps. I had never hit a 750 yoke, which is what the yoke weight was. Like I'd never hit basically any of the weights, the 375 stone, none of it. So I was scared to death going in. Like I was like, I'm going to zero everything in front of 80 people and feel totally bad about myself. But I went in and I did fairly well. I ended up on the podium in third. And I hit the log for 4 reps, I believe, which was crazy for what I was capable of before. Yeah. And all of that on top of my very first session training with Tommy back to strongman events. 7 months prior to that, I ripped my bicep off the bone on my right arm. So this was 7 months post bicep surgery recovery. And I was able to do a 280 log. I was able to do the 750 yoke, and I was able to lift a 375 stone up to my chest. So all of that after that injury kind of told me like, okay, you've still got it like you did in college. You can come back from pain and misery and, all the setbacks and you've still got that dog in you to go, So that was a cool one. And then recently, last year's Worlds, the 900-pound car walk was just cool. Like to say you put a Volkswagen Beetle on your back and ran with it for 50 feet is just I think it's one of those iconic strongman things that not a lot of people get to do because that's not a piece of equipment you find. Like there's 6 of them built in the world or whatever. And so if you don't go to OSG, you basically, or Giants Live, you don't get to do that event. And I came 10th on that event. I should have come higher, but I ripped my rhomboid halfway through the course, but I didn't drop it and I kept going and I won my heat and I came 10th out of the 32 guys. So that was cool. And then my kind of one, like I beat Travis Ortmeyer last year and he's a perennial world's strongest man, and I have to be humble and admit that he was coming back from injury. I get it, but I can still say I beat Travis Ortmeyer in a show. Yeah. And it was only one place. I was 15th, he was 16th, but hey, a win's a win. So that's it.
Yeah. My name is Justin Johnson with High Calling Fitness. Maybe you're tired, gaining weight, waking up with joint pain, back pain, and a body that just doesn't feel like it used to. You've tried to fix it, but nothing seems to last. What if you don't need another app or crash diet, but a real coach, someone to meet you where you're at and walk with you step by step? At High Calling Fitness, our coaching comes to you wherever you are. No matter where you live, small town or city, across the country or across the world, your health still matters. You don't have to go it alone. We build personalized plans based on your goals, your schedule, and your equipment, even if it's just a set of dumbbells in a small space. This isn't just training, it's a personal partnership. You'll get weekly updates, one-on-one access to your coach, and ongoing support through Zoom and Slack every step of the way. We're here to help you build strength, restore energy, and claim the life you were meant to live. Book a free consult today. Let's talk about your goals and see how we can build something better together. High Calling Fitness, built for the everyday, ready for the extraordinary. That's the nature of strongman anyway. I think a lot of people don't appreciate that haven't competed the chaos of the day. Like, things change last second and implements feel different, conditions change. Like, it's not like even other strength sports like powerlifting where you know what kind of bar you're going to use, it's calibrated plates. Like, you typically know everything going into it. Not much tends to change, but strongman is very different. Even implement to implement, they feel very different. They move different. What kind of log are they going to have, and what's the texture of the stones? Like, all that stuff is very dynamic. I mean, even like, indoor, outdoor, but they both have positives and negatives. Like that, even the texture of the stone on a humid day versus a dry day, and it's very different from other things you do. And then I think that the human body can respond very different to different conditions. And so, like, who comes out on top on the day is, I think we all understand, like, you're the man of the day. Like, that's that. Like, there's not much else to it. Like, you might have you think you had a bad day or a good day or whatever it is, but like, you win. Like, that's, you still get to walk away saying, I beat that guy.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, if any conditions change, every single athlete there is dealing with the same thing. So yeah, it feels different to you, but it feels different to everybody else too.
Yeah. And even if it suits you more than another athlete, it's just like, or less, if you're you come out on bottom, it's like, well, I would have won if I was stronger, like, that's what it comes down to. It's like, well, if I was stronger, I would have won. So, like,
well, anytime you complain about an event changing or the handle not being right or, whatever, the answer you always get is, well, if you were stronger, it wouldn't have mattered. Right. And so the answer is always get stronger. And that bothered me at first because I'm a bit of a control freak. Like, I like to know what I'm getting ready for. But now it's kind of motivating, right? It's like, well, there is an answer. I just have to work harder. And that's always been kind of my life story. So work harder, you get more. So just keep going.
Yeah, definitely. So you did open at first then. You're competing in Masters now. Over the years of competing, what's changed in your training or your approach as you've gotten older in the same sport?
I was thinking about this question, and I don't like to think that there's a lot different at this point, because I don't think from 37 to 42 your body changes all that much. Like, 37 is still pretty old for the sport, right? So
I'm 37. Yeah, I get it.
Everybody talks about needing more rest, more recovery, all that stuff. And it's probably true. And that might be a downfall of mine, but I'm still the hard-headed, just go harder, like, increase the weight a little bit. You'll get stronger. What has piled up over the years that I've been competing is little small injuries that keep kind of reoccurring. And that might be where I need to readjust my thinking about what kind of recovery things I need to start utilizing. As I get older, my body won't recover as quick as it did when I was younger. Like I said, last year, I had a minor muscle tear in my rhomboid on the car walk. And I went and got it checked out. I got an x-ray and stuff to make sure my spine was okay. And they said it was fine. It was probably just a muscle tear. And I was like, okay, well, a muscle tear, it'll heal. I'll just let it, heal, do some rehab stuff. And then it started popping back up about a month ago where I can feel it again. And it just feels like, it almost feels like cartilage or like scar tissue ripping when I get in certain positions. And it doesn't prevent me from doing anything, but it's just a weird, like, nerve sensation. And so I'm trying not to let that bother me when I'm thinking about an 800-pound deadlift coming up in a couple days, And then I tore my knee up last year on the log press, and I've got a meniscus tear that I haven't had repaired yet in my left knee. So that's another, these little minor injuries that you got to find the mental fortitude to block out the pain in the moment if you're going to keep competing on them, and at this time, I just don't. Strongman's hard because there's no off season, right? Like, after this is over in 2 weeks, I have December off basically, and then I have to immediately go into prep for the Arnold that I'm going to in March. And it's like, when do I have time to take 6 months to get a surgery? Unless I don't take these opportunities. And as old as I am, it's like, if I take 6 months off and I miss an Arnold, I might not never go to an Arnold ever again because I just might not get that opportunity. So
That's a hard thing with strongman because it doesn't have seasons. You kind of have to make a season, basically, right. And especially when you're in a place where like you have a shot at some titles, you don't want to like. It's hard. It's a hard balance to make that decision because, like you're saying, it's like, well, if I take an off season now, like when I come back, will it be that time of life that my body will be ready again? And because age is real, like you only have so many years of being, at whatever level you get to. It is a tough decision.
So I'm kind of in the worst spot too in terms of taking an off season because I'm good enough to get all the biggest amateur shows, right? The Arnold, the OSG Worlds. Like I'm not good enough to be at OSG or at Giants Live yet. I'm hoping that I'll get there before I'm too old. But the problem is I'm not in the top 10 yet of OSG, so I don't get the automatic re-invite for the next year because I missed it by a few spots last year. So then I have to do the qualifier 3 months before.
So you got to qualify to more shows.
Yeah.
So my hope is to make top 10 this year. That way my off season can be after the Arnold until the start of prep for the next Worlds, right? Then I'll have that 5-6 months in the middle of the summer to kind of chill out, do more bodybuilding type stuff, less event training, less super heavy deadlifts. And I'm praying that that's what next year looks like for me, but we got to make it there first. So
yeah, definitely.
So you always are pushing harder. So this is a fitting question. How do you balance the ego lifts and longevity as a Masters competitor? What makes you decide when to go hard, I guess?
I feel like I'm stuck in 12-week blocks of training so much that I don't have a chance to just ego lift. Like I do the program. There are days where I'll just be feeling really good on my deadlift and I'll want to see like, okay, where am I at? Because today might be the only day I'll see a 750 deadlift this month, And so I do have those moments where I'll pull more than I should probably. I think bench press is probably my biggest downfall in terms of ego lifting because there's a couple of guys at the gym that are close, but not quite there yet. but especially, I don't know if you know Scott, but he's been really pushing his bench press lately and he's crossed the 400 barrier and now he's into the 420 range. And so I'll see him bench pressing and just to, playfully, I'll be deadlifting or something with no warm up and I'll walk over there and put 405 or whatever he's doing. I'll just lay down and push it one time just to kind of get in his head a little bit. And so that's fun, but it's probably not healthy for me to do that. But if you don't have fun at the gym, what are you doing? You know what I mean? If I was doing this just to torture myself to be big and strong, then it wouldn't be any fun. So it's really, the gym is a social, everybody, it's cliche to say, but it's a mental health space for a lot of people. It's where we go to get everything out that we're struggling with. And, I always, and what I do, I've spent most of my career working with kids from hard places, kids that have been through trauma. And I try to explain to them that there's I always use the Men in Black analogy where you have the little robot or the little alien inside the robot when the head opens. So y'all remember from Men in Black where he dies and his face opens and the robot's in there or the alien's in there. And I'm like, that's kind of what I think about the brain and body, right? Like they're kind of a symbiotic relationship between the two. And in order to regulate your brain, you have to use your body. And in order to regulate your body, you have to use your brain. And if you can't use those two synergistically together, then you can't be a regulated person, body or mind. And so, anyway, I just, the ego lifts aren't huge for me. And this might sound arrogant, but at this point, I'm probably the strongest person in our gym, so there's nobody to really push me to make me do something dumb at the moment, So
I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was Dave Tate. I don't remember. It was on a podcast or something, but he said the best place to be is the second strongest person in the gym,
right?
Because there's always somebody to catch up to. Like you're already good, but you've got that push a little bit still.
It makes me sad that
Tommy's... I'm way below second.
Tommy Sharp is definitely still stronger than me in a lot of events, so I wish he would spend more time at Underground because he would be someone that could still push me, definitely on the overhead stuff. So it would be nice to have more people that were pushing as hard as I am, but I don't expect anybody to, make themselves hurt as much as I do every day. So
we do have Jade, who is also at Underground, who is also going to Worlds. So she wouldn't necessarily be the strongest in the gym like you are, but she's in a very similar position. Do you feel like?
Oh, she definitely.
Yeah.
Out of the women, she's definitely there. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
No, Jade's a great friend of mine, and I love when I get to train with her. But again, it's not like she's going to push me to do something above my means to outdo her as an ego lift. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
So walk us through the events you have coming up at OSG Worlds. What are you? It's 2 events a day. Is that right? Yeah, it's 2 events. Well, this year it's 2 events every day. Last year it was 2, 2, and then 3 for the final. This year it's 2, 2, and 2. And it's different this year. Last year I had to go in the morning at like 10 a.m. This year I don't go till 5:30 p.m. each day. So that's a big change in figuring out how to deal with, especially my diabetes. Like, how do I eat during the day to make sure my blood sugar is regulated at that point? Forth. But day 1 is a Trump log setup. So there's 3 logs. For our weight class, we have I believe it's a 280 or 285, a 310, and a 340. So 1 rep on the bigger log beats any reps on the lower logs. And so the goal is to at least hit the 340 for 1 to make sure I'm in that top group. I think based on how last year went, if you can hit the big log, you'll be in the top 10 out of the 30-something guys. That's basically how the math usually works out. And if you can hit 2 or 3 on the big log, you'll probably be in the top 3 or 4 if we're like last year. Then after that, we have a 730-pound frame carry for 100 feet as fast as we can. So that's day 1. Day 2 is a deadlift ladder. We go 675, 725, 765, and 800. The 800 is on a mammoth bar instead of a regular bar. The rest are all on regular deadlift bars. And then after that is a sandbag steeplechase, 2 picks, 2 loads, each run 2 bags, 300 and 325 bags. So that'll be the gasser at the end to see if losing all this weight has got my cardio in a place where I can actually finish that one this year. So
that's a tough event. Yeah.
And then if I'm top 10 after that, then I make the finals day. The finals day is a dumbbell or circus dumbbell ladder. So it starts at 160, 180, 200, 220, as fast as you can do those 4. And then a natural stone series. I think there's 5 stones. We don't really know exactly what they are yet. They've showed us one that they're concrete. They're made from a mold, but they're natural oblong shaped kind of looking. And those go to, I think the big one's 400. So they go from like 3 to 400, about 20 pound jumps.
Probably no tacky on those then.
No tacky. Yeah.
So which of those events do you feel like this one's mine? I have this one.
This year's not the greatest lineup of events for me, I don't think. Last year, I was set that I was going to win the car walk. Like, I just felt really good about my yoke. And like I said, if I wouldn't have hurt myself, I probably would have been pretty high on that one. But I don't know. The log, I'm praying for the 340. Like I said, I've lost a bunch of weight recently, so I don't know if my overhead has suffered. It doesn't feel great right now. So we're going to see what I have on the day. The frame, I think I can place well in the frame. The same frame was used 2 years ago, and like even the guy that won the Masters Division last year couldn't even pick it up that year. So I'm thinking, I know I can pick it up and move it. I don't know if I can finish it, but if I can at least get it halfway, I think that's pretty good points for the frame. So the frame, I'm hoping will get me some points. And then honestly, as much as I hate sandbags and as much as I usually suck at a sandbag steeplechase, I feel like I have a real good shot because of the weight loss. And I've been doing a whole lot of assault bike and cardio, and I'm just in a much better place athletically at this point than I usually am going into contest. I'm the lightest I've ever competed. So I'm praying that the moving events get me the points I'm going to lose on the deadlift and the overhead because, but I always have competition gear. And at this point I always get discouraged because I'm so beat up from the heavy training that nothing moves the way I want it to. But then I take a week and a half or 2 weeks to recover before the comp. And then on comp day, I do things that I never thought I could do. So I'm hoping that happens again. And I'm hoping I at least make it to the 800-pound deadlift to give it a go. If I get the first 2, I'll be real happy. If I get the first 3, I'll do what I thought I could do. And my plan is to get a really good Instagram photo on the 800 where I blow blood out of my face as I try to pick it up. So that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of peaking. Yeah, you feel like junk going in and give yourself a little break and the magic happens.
I'm hoping.
Is that deadlift the one that you're a little more nervous about? I know I talked to you a little bit at the gym whenever you were training for it. And
honestly, the deadlift, I don't get nervous about deadlifts anymore because deadlift is the thing I have the most competition gear for. Like something just clicks on competition day. I think what happens to me in the gym is I have too much time to think about my setup and think about how to use the suit and think about, like, when I have 60 seconds to do 4 deadlifts, I'm not going to be thinking at all. I'm just going to rip it and go. Like, it's squat into the suit and pull the shit. Like, you know. Yeah. And I think the first 2 will fly because I'll just be amped up, and then the third one we'll see what happens. The fourth one we'll pray for. So. Yeah, but really, the log is my biggest concern. Like, I've never pushed a 340 log from the ground. I've gotten a 325. So if I can get the line right, I can push a 340 log. I know I can. I always push it out in front of me when I'm anxious about it, and then I can't get it back. So I have to get enough leg drive to get it moving and just commit to getting it over my head.
It's hard to commit to a heavy log to get it over you, to throw it back. That's
that's all tough. It is. If you can push it toward your face, you win. If you push it out, you're done. And so
I think that's a big component of log is just being fearless when you throw it.
Well, the problem is like, I think the reason I don't fear deadlifts is because you just let go of it. Like, and you don't get hurt, right? Like, the log, if you just let go of it, you lose your face. Like,
it's a little different,
right? So,
I've seen guys drop circus dumbbells on their heads. That one's terrifying because you don't.
I did that at my first show. You don't get the line right,
bringing it down, man.
Yeah, it hit the top of my head. Yeah, it hurts.
Circus dumbbell is another one it's honestly, for me, I was terrible at circus dumbbell forever. I just didn't get it. I was like, how do you get this thing up with one arm? And then I figured out the hand placing on the handle, which changed everything for me. And then I figured out where to set it on my back to be able to get a good jump out of it. And once I did that, it was like when I went to the Arnold qualifier, I had to do a 180, which I'd never hit before. And the 180 flew up like it was 100 pounds. And I was like, I figured it out. So now if I make it to day 3, like, I'm confident in the first 3 100% on the dumbbell ladder, and I really think the 220 will go this year if I'm just amped up and just go for it. So I'm way more confident in the dumbbell than I ever thought I would be ever about a dumbbell. So
it's very specific. Like, you have to find exactly what placement works for you and just try to get that every single time.
Sure.
So what's your meet week protocol? You said you usually take a week and a half, 2 weeks off training. What are you doing that week to gear up? You're not having to make weight, even though you've lost a lot of weight. Right. You're not doing that for the purpose of making a certain weight class. So what does that week leading up to competition look like for you?
So really just trying to relax and drop the stress of training, let the body recover, eat well, get a lot of sleep, just to maximize the recovery time. Spend time with my family because that's what makes me happy, with my boy. And but I still go to the gym. I don't completely take off. I go to the gym. I just don't hit anything over about 60% of my maxes, because I have this weird brain habit of, like, if I don't do something for more than a week, I feel like I've forgotten how to do it. Like I've lost the pattern. And so I'll still go in probably on Sunday, like I always do for deadlifts, and I'll put 315 on the bar, and I'll just do sets of 5 just to get the rhythm and the roll in that I do, and the little sometimes I do this little double pump before I pull on a heavy one, and I'll just do all of that to make sure I remember the rhythm of the lifts. And then I'll just do a lot of, like, almost bodybuilding type, like 3 sets of 10 on some light dumbbells, shoulder raises, some cables and stuff, just to keep my body moving and remembering that it's got a job to do in a couple of weeks or a week and a half. I don't like taking off completely. a lot of that's just because I'm a habitual person. So the more I keep the habit, the more it's going to stick around. And if I start taking large blocks off, then my body will be like, oh, you can just slack off. And I don't want that to ever happen again. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot more than a lot of guys do on a meat week.
It is.
But if it's for, if it makes your brain ready for doing the movements, then it makes sense for you. As long as it is light. Ashton's over here, like, trying to peek his head in. So how do you define a successful OSG Worlds? Top 10 is what you said. Is there anything else?
I mean, top 10 is really the goal this year. The 340 log will be a huge PR, so I'll get excited if I hit that. The biggest achievement will be making sure I don't come out injured. As long as I'm not injured, I live to fight 100%. Another day. And so, top 10 is the goal. I really want to be top 10. And if I could beat any of the 3 big name guys that are in my weight division this year, I would be stoked. So, yeah.
Have you competed against them before?
This is the first year. I think most of them just got into the Masters weight class because they're a couple years younger than me. So I've got to go against Graham Hicks and JF Carone and Dimitar Seventinov this year, which are all World Strongman TV show guys.
Beating any of those guys would be something. Yeah, that would be. Yeah,
it's just cool to see my name on the list next to them. I grew up watching them, or not necessarily grew up because they were in the era when I was already an adult. But I watched them for years compete and thought, man, I wonder if I could ever do that. And now to see those names and then a few names down my name, I'm like, oh my God, I did it. Like I made it to the same level. And that's not the same level, obviously. I'm not top 30 in the world, the big guys, but just to be there is an accomplishment for me.
Yeah, so, huge achievement.
It's huge, yeah.
So you mentioned your diabetes, and it's type 1 diabetes, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you manage that with your training, with your food? I mean, strongmen eat a ton, so you have to be aware of that all the time.
Yeah, I like to think that everybody thinks it's a disadvantage to have these issues, but what I have figured out the last 5 years is I get an advantage over other guys because I wear a continuous glucose monitor all the time. So I know what food does to my body, right? Where everybody else is guessing, does this Rice Krispie treat do what I think it does? Or they're not paying attention on the level of detail that I am. I've spent 30 years watching what food does to my body and my blood sugar and how to compensate for that, and learning that massive amounts of insulin in your body make you store weight and body fat, right? And so I know how to manipulate those things. That's like shredding all this weight so quickly is it's just a big, don't have insulin in your body will shred fat. It's just what happens, right? And so I have an advantage in that I can not use traditional strongman advice and still be strong. And that's the hard part of me trying to figure out what to do, because I'm really a personal experiment. There's not a lot of top tier, if any, top tier type 1 diabetics that are in strongman. No. And when I'm talking top tier, I mean like Arnold Classic, Rogue Invitational, those level guys. There are several in my rankings that have it, but a lot of them are type 2 diabetics, and they kind of brought that on themselves with their poor eating habits over their life, right? But I didn't have that choice. I was 12, when I got mine. I had juvenile. But so my differences are I can't eat 500 or 1,000 grams of carbs every day. Like I would go broke paying for insulin. That's not gonna work. And so most of the time I'm training, you see I'm in the mornings, most of my trainings are at 8:30, 9 in the morning, and I'm fasted most of the time. I don't eat before I train, and that's because on competition day I can't eat. Like if my competition starts 10 a.m. or earlier, I can't have carbohydrates before I go. Otherwise my blood sugar will spike, because my neurochemistry is already causing high blood sugar levels because of the anxiety and all the adrenaline and cortisol and everything that's running into me because I'm nervous about performing. If I add carbohydrates on top of that, my body can't handle that. And if I dump a bunch of insulin from my insulin pump into me and then it tanks right before the event, well, then I'm done, because you can't lift anything if your blood sugar is below like 80. You're like useless.
No. Yeah, you are.
And so most of the time I compete fasted. Like last year at OSG, I didn't eat anything during competition except for, I think I had one Rice Krispie treat after one event because my blood sugar started to go down. And I usually keep Sour Patch Kids on me to get a quick burst of sugar if my blood sugar drops, just in case. But I would say that's the biggest difference, because you see these guys just pounding down, food between every event. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know how y'all breathe with that much food in your stomach. And second of all, I would die of, hyperglycemia. But so, yeah, it's just different in what I have to pay attention to. I have to pay a whole lot more attention to what I eat, what I do. And I really have to know what my body feels like. Like, I don't know that a lot of these guys know what it feels like for their blood sugar to be high or low. They just think they're wore out. They don't understand that they're having a hypoglycemic event or a hyperglycemic event, right? But that's just because they don't have the knowledge or the technology to know what's going on in the moment. So yeah, it's a lot of carnivore diet, basically. Not totally carnivore, but most of my diet is carnivore. I try to keep below 60 grams of carbs most days. To 100, 60 to 100 is really kind of my range that I stick to when I'm trying to behave myself. But the night before competition, it's tradition to go to Cheesecake Factory. So I get my carbs in the night before, then I regulate my blood sugar throughout the night, and then in the morning I still have the energy left over from that, and that kind of carries me through the next day. So it's just a little different approach. It's still the same principles. I think it's just utilizing them to match my body. So
yeah, what's that going to look like for this time if you're not starting the competition until 5:30? Is it like a food cutoff time for you during the day, or?
So I've been thinking about it, and it's going to be an experiment this year because I've never started a competition this late in the day, which I don't like experimenting at Worlds. That sucks, but we're going to have to figure it out. So my plan, I think, Jade competes in the morning, and I'll have to be there to help her because we kind of help each other as our pseudo coach, because otherwise you have to buy coaches passes for people. If we already have an athlete pass, then they get to come down and help us get our suits on and everything. So I help her and she helps me. And so she'll compete in the morning. I think she's at like 10 or 10:30. So then I think after she goes, then I'll probably go eat lunch around noon, and I'll try to keep the carbs down to a minimum. And then I probably won't eat anything else the rest of the day until after competition, just to whatever I eat, I can see what my blood sugar does, the trend line, and then I can make sure it gets back to that. Like, I like to be in the 120, 130 range. That's kind of optimal lifting range for me. I'll try to get it to regulate back around to that point. And then we'll go with that and just see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's about optimal numbers for most people. Actually, like at an event, they think, like, some guys think like, oh, pound sugar, but if you go past a certain number, I mean, there's individuality to it, but if you're cranking it, it's actually not helpful. You don't feel good. Like, it's just as bad as it being too low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my first competition, I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, but at that Big Tex, my blood sugar went from, I think the low was like 56, and the high was like 378 throughout that day. And it just went up, down, up, down, up, down. Because I would try to recover and eat something, and then I'd be scared to take insulin because I didn't want it to drop again. And then it would go too high, and then I'd have to take insulin, and then it would drop before the next event. And then it was just, it was a nightmare. And I felt so destroyed after that event. Oh, not only because the weights were astronomically high for me at that point, but I also had my blood sugar all over the place, so my body couldn't recover because it was dealing with, the sugar in my blood.
That lack of stability is, it is. You feel horrible. Like, even if you didn't lift that day, you'd have felt horrible. Yeah.
So it was.
And it was add rough. All the stress because you're watching it go up and down.
Right, and that's when that event actually taught me so much, because I realized that it wasn't just because I didn't eat a lot that morning. So I could not figure out why it spiked over 300 until I started looking into it and going, okay, when I get stressed, all these neurochemicals in my brain cause my blood sugar to go up. It's that fight or flight response, right? You dump sugar into your blood so you can fight the bear that's trying to eat you, right? It's the same response. And so I had to realize that and go, okay, I need to learn how to regulate my emotions around these events before I go in. And the more I compete, the more I'm able to do that because I'm not nervous anymore. I know I'm good enough to be there. Now it's just, can I be good enough to win? And that's a lot less pressure than can I even lift the weight? You know what I mean? And the more I do it, the easier it gets and the more regulated my blood sugar gets. And so it was just kind of fighting through those early learning stages.
Yeah, there's some stability or routine of some sort that builds up after you've done a lot of competitions, that it's a little bit more regulated by the time you do something bigger that's a lot more pressure. You know, what if somebody qualified really quickly and went on that stage and they don't have the number of competitions under their belt to have that routine? Like that's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah. Have you ever tried? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think this year is going to be a whole lot better for me competition wise because last year I was nervous. Like that's the world stage, my first time ever, right? So I was more nervous than I usually get at competitions because you're walking around and Evan Singleton's walking around and Nick Best is there and, you know, and you're kind of fanboying at the same time as you're trying to compete, you know? And so this year I'm going to be like, it's just another year. I know that now. I didn't know last year that all the physio is free. So I could go in between events and get stuff done. I didn't know that last year. So I was just suffering with my injuries, you know?
Oh, no.
And so I didn't know you could get in the cold tub without paying for it. You know, I thought it would all be like you had to pay extra for these things. And so I didn't utilize this stuff the way I should have. So this year, I'm going to be the guy that's the first one in there. And other guys are going to try to get in. I'll be like, yo, bro, I was here first. You know, so I feel like kind of a veteran a little bit at this point because there's going to be probably 10 guys in our group that have never been to Worlds. And so I'll get to be the guy that helps teach and let people know, like, hey, you can get in here. Hey, go see the massage lady or go see the chiropractor, you know, if you got an injury. And I'm not going to bully anybody. I was just saying that kind of to be funny, but I think it'll be a lot better this year for me.
Have you ever experimented with vagus nerve stimulation to calm the nerves around competition?
Not precisely that, no. Through my working with kids that have been through trauma and stuff, I have a lot of regulation techniques that I teach them that I use, a lot of deep breathing stuff. And that I've just learned at this point in my life, I'm really difficult to get worked up. Like, I just have learned to regulate my emotions to a place where things don't bother me. And so now that I know the routine of competition, I really don't struggle with calming it down and keeping my blood sugar stable. And really, I kind of struggle a little bit getting amped up. Like I have to really pressure myself my wife tells me, like, you would get more attention if you had more personality when you lift. She's like, you just go out there and lift with a stone face and then walk off and nobody knows like how excited you are. Like, you know, she's like, you just do it and walk. And I'm like, okay, maybe I need to get a little more excited, a little more Evan Singleton-esque, you know. So
he's pretty stoic sometimes too, but not all the time.
Until he bashes his head off of a stone platform and bleeds all over.
I think he's kind of matured the last year or two, which is good too.
Right.
So how do you juggle all of this now with you know, being a husband, being a father, also doing all these competitions? Do you feel like it's made it better or easier to do those things? Or do you have to kind of pull away from that to compete?
No, you know, honestly, without my wife, none of this would happen. Like she's the rock that holds it all together for us. I'm kind of Mr. Mom in our family. She's more the breadwinner, if I'm being honest. And so I love spending time with my kid. I love doing things for my coach's football team. I take him to the gym with me as much as I can. He likes to lift. He's 8 years old and he can already deadlift 150 pounds. And so I get so much out of being around them and with them and then they support me and we have everything. Mm-hmm. We're very routine. So like we say we're boring sometimes because we have set bedtimes. We're in bed at the same time every night. We watch the same TV shows every night before bed. Like I go to the grocery store every Sunday after my deadlift workout. Like we are so routine.
Pretty much the same stuff. Yeah.
Everything happens exactly the same every week, for the most part.
That is. So. I think that's the way most people should live their lives. I mean, that's a lot of what we do when we're coaching people is like, don't seek novelty in your day-to-day life. Go find it like elsewhere, but like your lifestyle your body wants to be eating the same foods and going to the same places, doing the same things, going to bed at the same time. Like when I'm on the road right now, but when I'm at home, I eat the same meals every day. And then it's when the diet needs to change because weight needs to go up or down or something, or I'm prepping for something. And like, yeah, I'll add to it or take away from it, but like it's the same stuff. It doesn't really change at all, because part of discipline, I think, like you only have so much energy for discipline. And if you're spending it making decisions about what you're going to eat on a day-to-day basis and not on, pushing yourself in the gym or in other places where you're trying to be successful, like don't spend it sitting in front of a refrigerator.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that decision should have already been made.
Yeah. We have maybe 10 meals that we rotate, and like we don't ever really do anything different. And they change a little bit, fall to spring, because of my wife's a big hobby gardener, and we have fruit trees and chickens, and like we kind of do a little bit of a homestead thing. And so depending on what's growing at the time can change what we eat. But really it's a lot of salmon. We always buy a grass-fed cow every year and put it in the freezer, so we've got plenty of meat all year long. And so it's something with ground beef or steak or salmon or rotisserie chicken. I buy 2 or 3 rotisserie chickens every week just for easy meal prep. We just throw it in there shredded in the fridge, and then it turns into chicken tacos or chicken and rice or whatever. And it's really hard to come up with new ideas when we get bored. We'll sit there while she's writing the grocery list. She'll be like, I just don't even know what to write anymore. And I'm like, let's just do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, Yeah. My lunches are almost always chicken and rice and a bowl of salad on the side. Yeah. That's almost every time.
It works.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're spontaneous all the time, then like that's your routine. Like not knowing what you're doing is your routine.
Yeah.
Well, you don't typically get anywhere. Yeah. It's like you don't typically get anywhere because you don't have that structure. And like spend that decision making power on important decisions, and what you eat shouldn't. It's an important decision, but it's something that should have been decided a long time ago. And don't like that's something that we tell people, that we're working with that are like trying to manipulate their weight up or down. It's like, don't make decisions about what you're going to eat when you're hungry. Like that's the worst time to make a decision.
Right. That's the one bad part about going to the grocery store after deadlift day every Sunday, because then I'll see stuff and I'll be like, I kind of want that. and there are days where I will come home with stuff I shouldn't have bought, and then I'll regret it afterward. And then I usually have to eat it because I'm too anal not to eat what I bought, So
got to use up what you brought.
Exactly.
What you brought home.
Don't let it go to waste. That old clear your plate mentality from in childhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, have you ever had a strongman fail? Like something funny? Not like, oops, I injured myself. But like, do you have a funny fail story in competition and training?
I don't know how funny it is, but so that first competition, we had a deadlift ladder that was a farmer's handle deadlift at 550, and then a 585 elevated axle deadlift on wagon wheels, and then we had a 635 regular deadlift bar off the floor. And I did the farmer's handles easy, then I did the axle easy, but it wasn't all me, but it looked like I did it. I ripped the bar off the floor, and when I did, it was one of those hollow lightweight axles, and it bent as I picked it up. So it looked like I was so strong, I just ripped this axle in half and bent the weights, And then after that, we had the log, and the commentators on there. It was Gabe Pena, the Texas Titan. He was doing the commentary, and he said, he was like, well, we better watch out, Ian. He broke one piece of equipment already. And then sure enough, the first time I put the log down, it hit the pads and bounced forward and almost went out into the crowd. And so I just kind of had this whole day of like, I'm breaking equipment. And so now the axle bar, I actually went to the promoter and I was like, hey man, can I have that axle bar? It's like memorabilia. He was like, yeah, I can't use it anymore. You can take it. So now it's hanging in my dining room over our kind of like dining room table. It looks like a bullhorn almost up there.
Yeah, it's like your trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people put deer antlers, but
right. I thought about getting it mounted. I thought about getting it mounted on the front of my truck, like bull horns, and just engrave the competition on it. But I haven't gone that far yet. So I think that might be the funniest thing. Everything else has been pretty routine. So
that's hilarious. You could just get it mounted, with the velvet around it, like you do with the antlers.
Right.
Like a skull mount kind of thing. Just make it.
I should put it on a plaque and hang it on the wall, and then I can hang all my medals on the ends of it, like hanging.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea.
Stack them on.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna probably get this wrapped up because we've been on about an hour already. But anything else you want to add? Tell us. Heading into Worlds.
Just come watch. Like, we need all the support we can get. Strongman's in a place right now where it's on the verge of, it could be something really cool and big, but if we don't get people there watching and supporting, it's not gonna. I don't think it'll ever go away, but it could retract a little bit and go backwards, and we don't want that to happen because I think there's a lot of functional movement in strongman that anybody can do it, and there's so many weight classes now and novice classes. Like, if you ever had an inkling to do something with your body that is just cool, like just something you can show your kids or grandkids, like, hey, look what dad or mom used to do. It's just a cool sport to get into. And I think for me, I always struggled with team sports were great. But in football, if one person misses their assignment and it wasn't you, the whole team fails, right? And then you get this resentment towards that other person, like, man, we could have won that game if you just would have. And I don't like that aspect of it. I like the individual sport because really, when it comes down to it, if I make top 10 this year, and for me specifically, because I don't have a coach, I don't have a nutritionist, I do it all myself. So if I make top 10, then I get to look in the mirror and say, you and your wife and your child and your family is what got you here, right? Like, nobody else did this for you. You had the grit to do it, and anybody could have that, right? Anybody, and I'm not saying don't go get a coach, because I probably should have one. They're just expensive, and I don't want to pay for it. So I think, it's for anybody to come out and try it. Like, just try it. Let your kids try it.
To reiterate that a little bit, like I came in pretty late to the sport like you did, just not with your success, of course. But I've never found a more welcoming community of people in sport. I don't think you can. Like, if you show up to a show and you're like a new guy, everyone's going to be trying to help you. Everybody's been trying to help you. Everyone's welcoming. You'll get tips from everybody. Like, guys will lend you their equipment if you didn't know to bring something. Like, that's how the sport is. You will not find a sport that's like that, that's that welcoming. Or like, you go to the gym, you start training strongman. If someone sees you don't know what you're doing, like, anybody will help you if they can. I've never seen a sport community that's like that, or even heard one described. But strongman is probably, and powerlifting too, probably the most welcoming place for a beginner that you'll ever find.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I would say another thing that I would tell people is if you see somebody, huge guy in the gym that's doing crazy things like log lift or deadlift or whatever, a lot of people think that I'm going to be this angry, intimidating person in the gym. And I think Amanda will tell you, like, I'm the nicest dude you could talk to. Like, I literally will talk to anybody. I will help anybody. And I just don't want people to be scared of people like me. Like, we don't do it to be scary. We do it because it's fun, and we do it because we want to live. Well, that's debatable, because it's not the healthiest sport when you're my size.
You want to live like you want to live while you're alive anyway. Yeah.
I want to have what do they call it? Lifespan versus health span, right? I want to have a better health span.
I think there's something to be said for that. I have never. I mean, the friendliest guys you'll meet in strongman are typically the strongest guys around. Like, you don't get to any level without some degree of humility.
Sure.
That's how it is. And like, I have there's a few guys out there that are kind of jerks or whatever, but they're totally the exception. You see a huge guy in the gym that's lifting heavy weights, he'll be happy to talk to you. Like, it is people like, I've never felt like any of the guys that I've lifted with, and the guys that are bigger than me look down on me or anything like that. Like, nothing like that ever happens. It's incredibly welcoming.
Well, and I think what people don't, it's hard to see where someone has come from when you only see where they are, right? And so if you look at me and you go, oh my God, he can deadlift over 700 pounds and he's squatting over 700 pounds. And like, there's no way he was ever as weak or as little as me. And like, if you look back, if I show you what I looked like in high school versus now, you wouldn't believe it's the same person, And I'm like, I was the little guy who was trying to fight for a spot on the football team. Like I wasn't, 5-star recruit. Like, so I've been in your shoes and I'm more than happy to try to help you get where you want to go, whether that's up to this level or higher than me. I'd love for people to surpass me because like Amanda said, I'd love somebody to come in there and be pushing more than me so that I can chase them, And so, we're always down to help.
Yeah. You don't know what someone, what they were like before. And also like, we all understand like what life was like before training. People weren't born this way. Like in 2016, I was 135 pounds. Like that's not, like a lot of people don't believe the same thing. They don't believe it almost when it's like, I used to not train like this. I used to not eat like this. I used to not try to do this. Like and people don't have the understanding that like you can get there. There's a path to get strong, to get, to whatever degree it might be and that might look like for you. But like you can transform yourself in a way that you can't possibly imagine in most cases.
Yeah, it's incredible how much can be manipulated on the body, just diet and exercise alone and being disciplined.
Yep.
And it feels very daunting when you look at it. Like when I was in 2020 looking at almost 40% body fat and 380 plus pounds, thinking about wanting to be back to 300 pounds and back under 20% body fat, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to take forever. And it has taken a long time. And it's been 5 years I've been working at this. But when I look back, I'm like, it doesn't feel like 5 years have gone by. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you're looking forward, it feels like forever. When you look back, it's like that didn't take any time at all in the grand scheme of things. So you just got to commit and go for it and then stick to it and you'll get to where you want to go. So,
I think if you decide to enjoy it, it goes a lot faster and it's not such a chore. The discipline just falls into place. If you just decide, I'm going to like this. Sure. I'm going to make myself like this.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I was just say, find the community of people that like it too. That really helps, finding at least 2 or 3, and they don't have to be training partners necessarily, but like just people that you can talk to about it, that can get excited about it with you. So you're not just fully alone, in what you're trying to do. Because everything in life is about human relationships. If you don't have those, what's the point, So,
Yeah, well, where can people find you on Instagram and any of their socials?
Yeah, so all my Instagram and TikTok are both under WSM Vanilla Gorilla. And so both of them, you can find all my stuff there. I post all my events, as much of my training as I can get filmed. Any PRs and stuff I try to put up there. And so I've tried to start doing a little bit of kind of education, answering people's questions about how to be an athlete with who's diabetic, because I've had some moms reach out and be like, hey, I've got a son, who's that I'm struggling with this. I don't know how to handle this. What should I do? And I would love for people to reach out to me and ask those questions and give me the opportunity to make videos and reply. That's really where my passion is to help the millions, literally millions of diabetic young athletic kids that want to be athletes who have been told they can't because of their diabetes. And I want to be the model to show them, like, you can be old, you can be diabetic, and you can still get out there and bust your butt and make your dreams come true using your body to do it. Even if people tell you that that's not what a diabetic can do. So if you have a diabetic kid or you're diabetic yourself and you got questions, reach out to me on Instagram. And I'll be happy to answer your questions as best I can and help you out.
It's a common thread that you'll be very disappointed in your short-term results with almost anything you do generally, but with consistency, you'll be amazed. You can do things you never thought possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
awesome. Well,
Worlds
thanks
is
for
coming up November 20th through 23rd. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah,
there's a live stream.
Yeah, there's a live stream, and then it'll be in Arlington, Texas. If you're in that area and you want to go watch it live, weigh-ins and juniors teens competition is on Thursday the 20th, and then the big comp starts 21st, 22nd, and finals are on the 23rd. So
yeah. If you haven't been to a strongman show before, go. There's nothing quite like it. It really is cool. Even if you're not into strength sport or you don't think you are, you will be by the time you leave.
Very
and
entertaining.
there's going to be some big name guys there with booths too. I know the Texas boys, Nick Guardione and Austin Andrade, are coming. They'll have a booth. I think Lucas Hatton is bringing a booth and having a booth there.
Cool.
I've heard Mitch Hooper is going to be there with his LHBK stuff. So there's lots of really cool big name guys that you'll be able to meet if you show up. And then you can see some of us.
Lucas is a good dude. He's semi-local to me and runs a couple of the shows that I've been to. Super good dude. It's been awesome watching him come up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Ian. It's awesome. Awesome meeting you. And maybe we'll do sometime. We could do like a post show with you after, if you're up to it, after one of your shows this in the next coming year or something 10. Like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
and either way, we'll hopefully. Go ahead.
Do what?
I was like, either way, hopefully we're going to do it at Arnold's, because usually I show up there, not as an athlete, but always go there and watch and hang out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm hoping I'll have a top 10. There's a really cool medal you get for top 10 in the world. All the top 10 guys get one. And hopefully I'll have one of those. And hopefully I'll have a little trophy statue that has top 3, one of those spots. But
that's the goal.
We'll see how the day goes. So
we'll be cheering you on.
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks everybody for listening. If you're looking to see some good content and you're type 1 diabetic and want some advice too, especially as an athlete, reach out to Ian. And until then, gains of grace.
Gains of grace.